You're
Just
live,
give me a
Cece.
second here. I gotta get the right agenda up here. Okay. All right, here we go. Welcome to everyone. I'd like to call the meeting of the County Joint Accessibility Committee meeting. I'm having a senior moment here. We want to start the meeting is what we want to do. So we'll call it to order. Can we have a roll call or do we need one?
We don't need one. I've taken it. I can see everybody.
Okay. So then we'll do our land acknowledgement. We respectfully acknowledge that the County of Haliburton is located on the Treaty 20 Mississauga territory and in the traditional territories of the Mississauga and Chippewa nations, collectively known as the Williams Treaties First Nations, which are Curve Lake, Rama, Hiawatha, Alderville, Scugog Island, Beausoleil, and Georgina Islands First Nations. We acknowledge a shared presence of the Indigenous nations throughout the area, and we recognize its original Indigenous inhabitants as the stewards of its lands and waters since time immemorial. Can we have someone to adopt the agenda for today? Kathy and Lisa. Okay. All in favor? Carried.
Okay. Moved by Kathy and seconded by Lisa that the June 11th, 2025 Haliburton County Joint Accessibility Committee agenda be approved.
Okay, now you want to all vote. All in favor? Carried. Disclosure of any peculiar interest or general nature thereof? Seeing none. Acceptance of the minutes for the May 14th, 2025 meeting. Can we have a mover, please? Lisa, seconded by?
Ben?
Kathy. So we need to read the resolution?
Mm-hmm. We have a motion that the minutes of the May 14th, 2025 meeting of the Haliburton County Joint Accessibility Committee be adopted as circulated, and that was moved by Lisa and seconded by Kathy.
All in favor? Motion carried. Next thing on the list. There's no deputations. We have to jump down to public awareness education. Is that where we're going next?
That's right.
Okay. So there's a piece there that needs to be dealt with. Who is going to be presenting that to us?
I can speak to that, Councillor Ryle. It's Sue here.
Okay.
So at the meeting, the accessibility meeting in April, the previous one, or May, I suppose. Sorry, time is confusing at this point after the state of emergency. We had discussed celebrating National Accessibility Week. We did not have much time to prepare this year, having just recognized that it was something that we could acknowledge. And so what we were able to do was pull together a week of social media posts, and those are included here in case you didn't see them posted on the County of Haliburton Facebook page throughout the week. National Accessibility Week took place from May 25th to the 31st. And we're really grateful at the county to each of the local municipalities who helped share some information about what they wanted to highlight throughout this week. So we posted multiple times, about a dozen times, I think, sharing some posts from other community groups and other provincial organizations that were also acknowledging the week, making sure some information got out there. We also posted, just to let the community know that Accessibility Week was happening, and to give them more information about some of the free webinars that were being hosted by the Rick Hansen Foundation. We shared some of the the work that has been done in the county, especially some of the playground features, some of the trail features, some of the work done to renovate buildings to ensure that they were more accessible and the public spaces throughout the county. We also shared the joint accessibility plan. This plan is always available on the County of Haliburton's website, but I think it's helpful to remind the community that it is available, and folks are always able to take a look at it through the website. We also have paper copies available if anybody requires that. And yeah, we just sort of tried to highlight some of the great stuff happening throughout the county with photos, and all of those were provided by the local municipalities. So again, just thanking them for their help in supporting that. On Wednesday, May 28th, we celebrated Red Shirt Day of Action for Accessibility and Inclusion, which is an Easter Seals initiative. And really, really wonderful to see County Council all wearing red shirts that day, as well as the senior management team. So grateful to Pam for organizing all those shirts and figuring out sizes for everyone. And also grateful to Warden Burton for proclaiming the week as National Accessibility Week, as well as May 28th as Red Shirt Day of Action for Accessibility and Inclusion. So grateful for these initiatives to bring forward the topic of accessibility in the community, to get folks thinking about what's available here, what more we could do, and looking at some of the work being done. But really grateful to everyone for helping to make that happen.
Thank you for that report, Sue. Any questions or comments? Well, awesome. You did an awful lot of work, not only on the day we were here, but before and during that. So we really, really thank you for the effort that you put into that. Well done. Anne.
Yes, I just have a comment. I'm trying not to do any social media because of our influences from, our next door neighbors. So if it's on, what else are you doing apart from Facebook? Because I don't do Facebook, Twitter, or any of those things. And I'm sure a lot of other people are the same.
Thanks so much for that, Anne. I appreciate that, and I appreciate what you're doing as well. So we had discussed bringing the week forward to the Canoe Radio. So what I can still do is actually continue to have those conversations with Canoe as well as our local newspapers. Though the week has passed, I think the sentiment remains. So just being able to bring awareness to that day and some of the initiatives in the community, as well as to the work that this committee does. I think that would be something that folks would certainly look forward to reading about and learning more about. So I can contact all three of our newspapers as well as the local radio station. But happy to hear any other suggestions you might have as well.
Any other comments and questions? Seeing none. Do we need to have a motion to accept the report, or is it good the way it is?
No, we don't.
Okay. Do we have anything, where are we at now? I guess the next thing we should be talking about is the International Disability Week. We did that. Do we have anything under the 2026 budget? Nothing at this time?
Yeah, so I can speak to that as well, Councillor Ryle. So we are at the county looking at putting forward a budget later this year. So some of those deadlines will be coming up toward the end of the summer, where we start looking at what we're looking to achieve throughout the upcoming year and years. Previously in the accessibility budget, we do have some money set aside for the Augmentative and Alternative Communication Board project. Dysart has installed their boards, one board through the committee and one board through a separate grant they received. And I have reached out to each of the municipalities to look at where their AAC board might best go throughout the township or municipality. And so I think we'll be hearing more information about that throughout the year, but that money is already set aside for that. Otherwise, we do have a little bit of money in the budget for training. but not anything else. So I'm proposing that we put forward $10,000 this year into the budget, and then that way it can help us work on some of the programs and initiatives that we might have coming forward. We've been talking about the Stopgap project, for example. There are some other programs and initiatives that I know some folks in the community would like to bring forward to the committee. So just having some funding there to help support those efforts would be certainly helpful, I think. And it's currently not in the budget, so getting it into next year's budget might be helpful for this committee.
Thank you. Any questions or comments on what Sue's just told us? Is that something, Sue, that we need to discuss or to do a motion on today, or is that just strictly for information and at a future date? I personally think it's a good idea. Obviously, it would be up to council to decide whether or not they want to put money into that. But if you don't ask for it, you won't get it. So, or do we need a little bit better definition of what we want the $10,000 for before we ask?
I think it can be just for information at this point, Councillor Ryle. I think if that funding is there, I know that we already have, for example, the Stopgap project. There are some pieces as well as some additional training in that we've been considering. So I think if we set that amount in the budget, then and if county council approves it, then we can continue going forward and also be ready for any potential emerging projects that come forward that we haven't necessarily seen coming, but that the community is bringing forward.
So in other words, you're saying we'll defer it until we get a little closer to the budget date.
Yeah, not deferred, just for information at this time.
Well, what I meant was we need more information before we can actually make a presentation. That makes sense to me anyway. Any further questions or comments on that? Seeing none, you just alluded to and spoke about the Stopgap project. You have a verbal update for that.
That's right. So I have been working with the Stopgap team. They have given us a really handy handbook that outlines all of the steps that we might want to take. There will be a need for discussion around what the committee would like that to look like, because there are different options available to us. I do need to go back to each of the municipalities first, just to determine what might be available there. And in particular, just looking at reviewing local bylaws, ordinances, building codes, other laws. And so just speaking with them first, and then they might actually be able to attend an upcoming meeting to discuss it as well. So I'll have that ready for the August meeting. And I'm also looking to see if I might actually be able to share that full handbook with the committee, because I think it would be helpful for you to see the entire project and how they've outlined the steps.
Well, that sounds like an excellent program, and again, you're doing a great job of it. It's in the process of being baked, so we'll see where that turns out. Any further comments or questions on that particular issue? Yes, somebody has a hand up, or did have a hand up.
Yes, that was me.
Disappeared.
Just so everyone
Okay, yes,
knows
Ben.
that around the first Wednesday of July, I recently interviewed Luke Anderson, the founder of Stopgap, recently, and that episode should be appearing on my podcast on the first Wednesday of July. So I don't know if that will kind of be any useful information to anybody here, but I just felt that it was important to point that out. So
I think it would. Should we put that in our minutes just to make sure that we don't lose that date?
Absolutely. Thanks for that, Bennett.
yep.
Thank you very, very much. Any further questions or comments? Seeing none, we can now look at the third item in that group, the 2025-2026 Awareness Days, the schedule. And does anybody have a chance to look at it, or do we want to bring that up? How do you want to handle that, Sue?
Sorry, Councillor Ryle, we're just working on it, but I believe Travis will be able to bring it up. So this document is a selection of awareness days and months at the last Accessibility Committee meeting when we discussed National Accessibility Week and as well as the International Day of Persons with Disabilities, which is taking place in December. There was a request that we come forward with additional information about other awareness days and months we might acknowledge. There are multiple ways that we might go about promoting these days or acknowledging these days. Again, if we are using social media, we could create our own posts, or we could share posts from others who are acknowledging the day from their own area of expertise. We can also share this list with the local newspapers and radio to let them know that these are the dates that we're sort of recognizing this year as being something that they might want to include in their coverage. But this list is really open for discussion. So much of it is pulled from there was a list already available through a federal site. So totally up to discussion to this group if there might be something missing. Some of the dates might have changed as well. I tried to do my best in looking at what would be the 2026 date, and some of them I've just left general because it changes each year. So yeah, just for your information and for your discussion, if there's anything missing or if there's anything you really want to focus on, then that would be great to know.
Any comments or questions on this particular issue? Yes, Ben.
I often will make posts on my own social media for my podcast about events like this and about days like that. And that's how days like these are usually how I search for guests anyway on my show. So it's possible I would totally be open to sharing those posts with the committee.
Okay. The only thing that I'm asking, and so you would have a much better knowledge of this than I would for sure, that is a very busy schedule with multiple items happening in a row and in the month. Can we do them justice, all of them, or should we be looking at some of them?
So that's up to discussion of the group, I think. To me, I think that there are some that we might want to focus on more potentially if maybe they're broader or if a community member has brought forward that this is important to them. And then otherwise, ensuring that we share from the sort of subject matter experts who might already have a post out and available is something that we can certainly do with minimal staff time, just making sure that we have these dates in our calendar and that we look for posts that time.
We could split it up between members of the group to make sure that we cover more.
That's an excellent idea too.
Well, I got to admit my ignorance here. I've not been involved with anything like this before, and so I'm like a duck out of water for sure. But I would certainly be open to any requests or recommendations or otherwise. How do we get as much of this done as makes sense within the resources that we have available? So again, outside of my particular skill set, so I would be looking to what we could do going forward. Again, I can't speak for Jennifer because she is the one who is actually the chair, but I'm just kind of here in the intern. So do we need to make a full decision on this today? Or can we just look at it and deal with it again? But again, we don't meet till August, do we?
No, we are fine to bring it forward to the August meeting as well to discuss. There are a few dates in the meantime, but we can look after that from our end and then discuss it further in August if you'd like to determine going forward what you might want to focus on and how you might want to go about that.
I think that's probably the right thing to do. Why? Because a lot of us, I know I've just seen it now, so I'm really not even familiar with most of it. I wouldn't mind having a discussion with you and or Ben to just get an idea of what exactly is involved with any or all of these. so that we can get an idea of the kind of commitment that we would have. If it's just a question of supporting it and posting it, then that creates a fairly simple task. But if it's an involvement part where we have to or should participate in some way, shape, or form, then we need to know what that participation would be and the kind of resources that it would take to pull it off, in a Haliburton County acceptable fashion. So do you have any suggestions on the first ones that obviously would expire between now and August that you would like to see happen?
Sorry, Councillor Ryle, are you asking that of the committee?
Well, I'm asking that of you because I have no idea what I'm talking about. I mean, I might as well be honest. I do not know the specifics of each of these specific days. So if someone could give me, I don't know about the rest of the committee, but I know for me for sure, guidance as to what would produce the best for Haliburton County and could be done in a reasonable period of time.
Well,
that is the ones between now and the next date. Ben?
I don't even have knowledge of all of those either, but what I do think we can do is kind of make informative posts, possibly to educate people who do not have knowledge of these things, because there isn't a whole lot that goes on around between now and August versus later in the year. So what we could do is make tiny, informative posts on social media, kind of educating people who might not know about these particular conditions, and then kind of making a post to say, people of Haliburton County, if this particular issue has affected you in one way or another, reach out to us and ask what you would like to see done.
To me, that sounds like an excellent way to go. However, what I'd like to think we could do, if we could, again, I'm ignorant, so therefore I'm pleading ignorance because I do not understand a lot of what is being needed, although I know it's important. Is there a way we could get a little bit more information on some of the more critical items that we should be supporting, but we don't know enough about to do so? And
Thank you. Again, same theme. I don't do social media. I'm trying actively not to do social media, Twitter X and all that kind of stuff. So can we do something that is not on social media? Newspaper or something else? I don't know.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well,
So to Bennon's point, we can absolutely share some posts in the meantime. But as noted, if you'd like, Anne, I'm able to send this list to the local newspapers to let them know, as well as the radio, to let them know that these are days that they might want to acknowledge. There is a link. So the third column does show a link to the website for each day, or perhaps the specific awareness week or month. And so there is some more information there should people be interested in learning more. But yeah, we can certainly share it with our local media partners to let them know that this is these are the days that are potentially acknowledged in other communities and that we might acknowledge here as well. And then it really, we can be available for them if they'd like to learn more about accessibility in the community. And if we do have any contacts, as Benon has mentioned, then we might be able to connect them with sources to speak to their experiences as the people with lived and living experiences of some of these disorders or syndromes.
There's another suggestion we could have, and I think this one maybe I could address to Warden Burton, and that is, like, for instance, if we could get something that would be simple to put together, is there a way that we could possibly contact our member municipalities to see if they can either put a link and or some kind of a blurb on their particular websites for those items that we feel should be identified?
On to that, Cease?
Yes, please.
Oh, by all means, we can. I'd be up to Sue and Pam, but I'll put it back to Sue, and she can certainly tell us if that's acceptable or not.
Yeah, our local municipalities have been great at helping share any awareness pieces and helping to really collaborate on these types of initiatives. So I'm happy to send it out to them as well. You know, there could be people that we already know of in our communities or on our staff who would really appreciate some of these days being acknowledged. So just having this list is maybe helpful for everyone to know, especially any of the communications coordinators throughout the municipalities, letting them know some of the pieces that we might highlight in any given month.
I would just like, Cecil, if I may, I'd just like to add that yesterday at our council meeting, we were at our special council meeting that we had our trails master plan in front of us, and Cease was adamant, and so was our clerk, and so was council, that accessibility is in the forefront, and we're going to keep everybody informed and up to date on every step we make with what we're doing. And I think that was a great leap forward for our group.
That's very great news.
Yeah, and again, I think if it's phrased right and doesn't create a tremendous amount of challenges for the individual municipalities, I think the way that we have done it, not that I'm trying to brag about Highlands East, but why not? I'm here. That I think all municipalities would do the same thing. It's just damn good business for all of us. Any further comments on or questions on that? Do you have enough information, Sue?
I think so. So I have that I am sharing this list with local media, sharing it with local municipalities, looking at some of the dates coming up prior to the August meeting to see if we might share some of the information from these groups that will already be acknowledging these days. Is that everything?
Go ahead, Kathy, please.
I have a question around some of the days listed, because some of them don't really meet with what is in the joint accessibility plan. Some of them are medical, some are conditions related to medical pieces, which we're not addressing in our accessibility plan. Would it be wise to filter the list initially to have only things that are supported by the accessibility plan?
Absolutely, Kathy. That's something that we can do today, or as mentioned, if it's best for folks to have more of a chance to review it, we can bring it forward in August.
So, and the other thing is we haven't talked about radio, because a lot of things could be filtered through the radio systems.
Yep, absolutely. So if I share with media, that would include our local radio partners for sure.
Great.
Thank you for that.
And I totally agree with what we're saying. I mean, we can't be all things to all people, but we should be the best that we can for those that fall under our particular umbrella, and to filter out, although they're worthy of being noted. I'm not going to argue that point, but they just don't. Like I said, the list is very large, and not all of it is related to pure accessibility or anything related to accessibility. So it might be a good idea, but we may not necessarily have the ability to promote that any further, other than maybe just list it if we choose to want to do so.
Absolutely. Sounds good.
Any further discussion? Okay. So with that in mind, we're down to next meeting. And we're talking about August, Sue, is that what we're planning?
That's right. Sorry, we're just looking that date up. It is in August. The 13th of August. And that's at 1 p.m.
August,
then.
1 p.m. What day of the week is that, Sue? Would be a Wednesday?
That's right. It's a Wednesday after County Council again.
Okay. Is everybody okay with that particular date as we have it at the moment? Anybody have a problem with being able to be there? Okay, that problem has now been, or challenge has been solved. We're now down to the adjournment. Is there anything else that we need to do prior to adjournment that needs to be done, as in motions to be passed, or anything else that we need to deal with?
Just the motion for the adjournment. I just need a mover, seconder.
That's it.
Mhm.
Okay, then, having said that, can we have a motion to adjourn? Can I have, that'd be Warden Burton and Bennett. All in favor? We are
Okay,
good. We are
so
good.
moved
Well, thank you
by-
very much, guys. Hopefully I was able to do a reasonable job. Jennifer could have probably done much better. I can probably tell you that. But I
Good
think we
job,
accomplished what.
Cecil.
Yeah. She's, Pam's going to read the motion out.
Moved by Warden Burton and seconded by Ben that the June 11th, 2025 meeting of the Haliburton County Joint Accessibility Committee now adjourn at 1:32.
Good. Well, thank you all. I really do appreciate you being here and putting up with me, because Jennifer, as I said, would have done a much better job. But heck, you're stuck with second base. So there you are. Take care, guys. Have
Thanks,
a great
Steve.
rest of the day.
Great.
Thanks so much, everyone.
Bye.
Pam,
Bye-bye.
Pam,
Yes.
can you send out the coordinates for the library board meeting, please?